Hey everyone, welcome to the Healthy Brain Podcast. Thanks for joining me today. Today's topic is about how to apply the happiness pie theory to your health. You may have heard of this. Most people haven't heard of the happiness pie theory, so I'll get into it. But before I do, I just want to invite you to join the wait list for a brand new 12-week brain health boot camp that I am releasing in July. It's actually real time. So in this 12-week boot camp, I will be taking you and a bunch of other people through exactly how to improve and transform your brain health. Each week will be a different topic that has been clinically shown to improve brain health. You will have the easy, actionable steps, the accountability, the guidance, and the coaching throughout the boot camp. The amazing thing is this boot camp is really for all ages. I'm not sure if you know this, but researchers have seen and shown that they can identify negative brain changes 20 to 30 years before someone visibly shows signs of dementia. So that means that if you're in your 30s and 40s, your brain could be showing signs of decline, but you don't even know that it's happening. So now is the time to prioritize your brain health. And not only will you get ahead and improve your brain health, and more importantly, you'll improve the quality of your life with these proven methods. So you'll not just improve your brain health, but overall your physical health. I've worked over 25 years in cognitive neuroscience, and now I have merged this experience along with my coaching tools as a certified health and life coach. In addition to the weekly group coaching that is part of this 12-week brain health boot camp, I will also be offering as a bonus 4 one-on-one coaching sessions with me, now done virtually, but it's private one-on-one coaching, 4 of them. So this is a great opportunity to not only prioritize your brain health, but to really learn the coaching tools that you can apply to many areas of your life. So to find out more about the 12-week brain health boot camp, go to the show notes or the description box. Sign up today for the July start. All right, back to today's topic. I want to share 2 theories from the field of positive psychology. So the field of positive psychology has been around for quite a few years, but it's sort of it's really a newer spin on psychology. And it really is interesting, and it helps us to focus on changing our lives and leading our lives with happiness and intention. So there's many things in this positive psychology that we can take as theory and really apply. What I really like about the positive psychology is that it's so easy to apply the theories and the principles of positive psychology. I often use many of the theories and some in the ones that I'm going to be sharing with you here and some others in positive psychology in my work as a health and life coach, and even when I work with patients for cognitive rehab. In my group coaching program this month, our topic is all about happiness. Each week I'm providing a teaching and group coaching to my clients. What I'll share today is a snippet of info that I have talked about and taught in the group coaching. And I really love the group coaching in this program. It's going to be very similar to what I'm offering in the 12-week brain health boot camp, because the support each client is providing to each other and sharing what's working and what's not working. So it really is a great opportunity. And like I said at the beginning, I encourage you to Sign up for the wait list so that you'll get emails and you'll be the first to know when the Brain Health Bootcamp is open for registration. All right, so what is the first theory? The first theory is the happiness pie theory. If I asked you, what percentage of your happiness do you think is under your control? So if you had asked me years ago, without me knowing this happiness pie theory, I would have said, what percentage of my happiness that it's under my control? I would have said 10%. Like the rest is circumstances and things that happen to me. So I think it's only 10% that I really have any control about my happiness. Well, coaching years later and also learning about this happiness pie theory, these are the percentages. So I'm going to share it with you. There's actually a 50% genetic set point that we have. So our happiness set point, what we're born with, it accounts for 50%. 40% is under our control. It's our intentional choices. And only 10% of our happiness is determined by our circumstances. When I read this years ago, I was really surprised. I would have thought that circumstances would have been at least 70 to 80%, and that I didn't have much control over my happiness. But research in positive psychology shows that the percentage of what is under our control is 40%. So if you just imagine and think about that, you have more control over your happiness of thinking of a situation with happiness. Now, I understand that there are some situations that happen in life circumstances that are devastating, and I'm not at all suggesting that you should just ignore things and just be happy about everything. But the majority of things that are happening in our lives, we can take more control as to how we think about it. How do we feel like we have more control of our happiness? So what are some things that I use, and I'll share it because I'll use this same step pathway with my coaching clients. So how can we feel and how can we be more in control of our happiness? Well, the first step is it starts with awareness. We have to be aware of when we are blaming our circumstances for our happiness or unhappiness. And remember, you have 40% control here. So if you find, and if you're really aware of it and you're blaming the circumstances of, well, I can't quite be happy because my son isn't getting A's, or my daughter isn't doing great in her sports, or I can't be completely happy because a family member is creating a lot of drama. I can't be happy, blah, 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 whatever it is. Okay, so we're noticing where we're thinking to ourselves, well, I'm not happy. You could be inserting, I'm frustrated, I'm irritated. Why can't they do this the way that I want them to do? This is so hard. This is so difficult. So noticing, that's the first step, is notice where you're blaming your circumstances. And I know you could say to me, but Heather, here are all of the truths, and here are all of the circumstances that are true. And I'm not saying that circumstance is not, it may be a crappy circumstance. But what I'm saying is, first off, notice where you're blaming all of the circumstance versus what can you take under your control. The second step that I would suggest is ask how you want to feel in the circumstance. Now, that can be a little challenging if you're knee deep in anger and frustration and irritation. You have to allow yourself time to process through that and allow yourself to feel it. But if you want to get through this situation and circumstance, how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel content? Do you want to feel hopeful? Do you want to feel happy? Do you want to feel pleased? So using that, now the third step would be using coaching tools to shift your mindset to take responsibility of your feelings and subsequently your actions. This is a big one. This is the value of a coach. A coach helps for you to see how you're thinking, where you're getting stuck, and a coach helps you to take responsibility for your feelings and actions, to take responsibility and to be intentional about this choice of being happy or being content, however you want to feel. The idea with the happiness pie theory is awareness, starting with awareness of we have more control than we think on our happiness, on how we enjoy life and our joy and our contentment and our peace. We have more control than we thought we did. So that's the big takeaway from this happiness pie theory, is really start looking at your situation and saying, how could I look at this differently? How could I take responsibility for how I'm feeling? And yes, it may be a crappy situation, but how can I take responsibility to how I'm feeling? How do I want to feel instead? And with the feeling of possible contentment, hopefulness, happiness, being pleased, and watch the actions that you take from that feeling of happiness and being hopeful and content. Well, let's move on to the next theory of the positive psychology that I want to share. It's called the PERMA. The PERMA, it's the theory of flourishing or thriving. You could think of like when you're flourishing in life, I always think of flowers are flourishing or vegetation is flourishing. They're growing so healthy and vibrant. So think of that, the theory of how can you thrive, how can you grow robust in a robust way. That is the theory of flourishing. The interesting thing about this PERMA theory, so every letter, the PERMA, stands for something, which I'll share in a moment. But how I've been using this theory with my coaching clients is I look at an action that my client wants to start implementing, so a healthy action. And we will match up to see, does the healthy action connect or relate to any of these, the PERMA. So it will make sense once I go through them, and then I'll give you an example. We could also, though, look at an unhealthy habit or an unhealthy action, and we can see that, no wonder we're not happy and we're not flourishing, because it doesn't address any of the PERMA principles. So it can again be awareness of, oh, no wonder this is not working for me, because it really does not support any of the principles of positive psychology. And this really, a lot of the positive psychology, the principles are in this acronym, the PERMA. So what does PERMA stand for? P stands for positive emotions. E stands for engagement. R is for relationships. M is for meaning. And A is for accomplishment. When my clients work with me, as I mentioned, I do help them identify which of these principles are related or activated or related to the habit that they want to implement. So let's take, I'll just take a nutrition. Let's say my client is thinking about changing their nutrition program to, I often talk about the brain health nutrition program. And initially, they may have negative emotions. And maybe initially they're looking at this, let's just say a bird's eye view at this nutrition program, and they are not feeling very happy about it. Why are they not feeling happy? Well, because they have negative emotions about it. They also cannot attach a meaning to, if I change my eating habits and I change what I'm eating, the meaning is I will have more energy to do things and activities that I want to do with my family and my friends. Maybe I'll excel more in sports if you're a weekend warrior, or even I do work with athletes on performance. So what we can see is if you're feeling not pumped and excited and happy about an eating plan, a nutrition plan that you want to implement, more often it's because it doesn't address any of these principles, the PERMA principles. So let's shift it and say, how can we have our brain think about this nutrition plan with these principles? Well, first off, I'm going to look at my positive emotion towards it. A nutrition plan, I'm going to look at how can I have a positive emotion towards it? I'm excited about trying something new. I'm curious as to how it's going to make me feel. You can make it more engaging, where you're engaged in a new nutrition plan by looking at new recipes, trying new recipes, not just doing the chicken and broccoli and brown rice. I'm going to make a new recipe to make it a little bit more exciting and try some new spices and herbs in it. Relationships, well, it could actually improve relationships. The R of PERMA is relationships. Our nutrition plan could affect how we feed our family in a positive way, how we interact with our family. I know my kids are really interested in nutrition, and they want to make sure that they're eating really healthy. So I make sure that sometimes they're part of the meal plan. Sometimes they're part of choosing different things that we'll have in the fridge. Where also can I feel more meaning? So if I want to make a change in my nutrition plan, I know that the work I do and the emphasis I take on brain health, nutrition, in the long run is going to help my ability for me to have a better quality of life. I'll decrease the likelihood of me developing dementia because I've prioritized my nutrition now, and 20 years or 10 years down the road, I've decreased that probability significantly. So that has meaning. I've identified that has so much meaning. I'm not just saying, well, the researchers and the neurologists and the brain health coach Heather says to eat this way for nutrition because I guess it's good. No, we want to identify you personally as the client, as the coaching client, what will have meaning and purpose for you. And the last thing on PERMA is accomplishment. This is a big one when we're implementing new habits, we want to feel that we're accomplishing something. So for nutrition, it could be maybe you're noticing the scale going down. Maybe you're noticing that your skin is clearer. Maybe you're noticing, and I've had this happen with clients, is that they feel more clarity, that they, because of how they're eating, they feel more accomplished. It could be a basic accomplishment of when they look back at the week, they can say, I followed this nutrition plan pretty well every day. Had a couple of little blips here and there, but I really followed it. That accomplishment, we want to acknowledge it. We want to be aware of it, because our brain will default to it's not enough, you're not doing enough. It's a known fact that our brain has a bias towards negativity, in that it's keeping us safe, quote unquote safe. But what happens is it never is enough. We could do all of this work, and if we just barrel right through and don't stop, smell the roses, acknowledge what you've done over the past week, then we'll think, well, I really haven't done much. But you really have done a lot if we look at the previous week and we look at how it's all connected. So the cool thing about this PERMA theory of flourishing is you can take any of these principles, and even if it's one of the principles, it will impact that healthy habit that you want to incorporate and implement. You don't have to have every principle addressed for the habit. That's one thing that people are sometimes questioning, like, oh, I can't really see how this will improve my relationships, or how accomplishment or engagement, how will that really affect my healthy habit, whatever it is, the one that you're picking. And you don't have to, some of them, it's just one is enough. Sometimes it's 4 of them. Sometimes it's 2 or 3. The point being is pause and notice and make the conscious choice of taking responsibility of how you're thinking and feeling about your health. All right. So thank you for joining me. Make sure you share this episode with someone. If you want to also write a review, that would be great. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.